Yo guys, what's up? It's Blackguard here and welcome to the part 2 of my tier list. As promised, I made it 2 parts because I wanted to give you some thoughts about every character very quick. So of course, in order to do this, I need to talk a lot and I felt like making it 2 parts it would be more digestible for you all to to watch all of my positions and all of my characters. And again, here we go today with the second part of my tier list, so let's go straight to the point. So, Jack right now, I would put in like B tier. I'm not saying like he's super weak because I think he's actually very strong, but he has some areas in which he lacks. For example, he has very shit movement, and having good movement in this game is crucial. So if you don't have good movement in this game, you're gonna have a lot of trouble. Also, like I think he's gone a little bit still beyond the rest of the tier, the characters in terms of strength. But I don't get me wrong, still think he's strong because no character in this game is weak in my opinion. But I think he lacks some things that other characters do much better than him. But he has some strengths. For example, he has very one of the most broken hit smashes in the game, in my opinion. Or like he has very good combo damage. But like for example, his engagers are not the best out there. Gamma Howl is good, but it has some problems building up pressure, or like I don't know, it has some problems dealing with Gamma Howl because most of the stuff is just interruptible, or I don't know, you just hold back basically and nothing bothers you too much. Like you don't have a lot to fear about Jack in his stances too much. Like I think this character can become very good. I think he's a little bit underrated, don't get me wrong, but I don't think like he is super strong at the moment that makes him a threat. For example, not a lot of people actually play Jack right now because there are so many characters that do what he does but better. So he might receive some buffs, don't get me wrong. He might receive some buffs that will make him super strong, more than he is right now. So I think middle tier by far. Lili in A tier. I'm sorry if I didn't mention Lili still, but I think she's super strong. She's super strong. I think I like in the beginning of Tekken 8, I thought she was S tier, but now playing more in the game and playing more with the other characters, I realized that she's super strong. She's very scrubby in heat, but like for example, Xiaoyu I think is a better version of her for the simple fact that she has even more broken heat. The mechanics are the same as Lili, but Xiaoyu has even more broken mechanics in heat, and she has even more broken evasion. So again, don't get me wrong, Lili, like I think it's a top tier contender, but she lacks, for example, in her approach she's a little bit slow. In some of her moves she are a little bit slow to approach. But again, she has very strong stuff. She has very good with Punisher. She has very good wall carry. She has a lot of strings to play around. Her dual glide stance can be threatening. Her Feisty Rabbit stance is super strong right now, especially when she goes into heat and you have to eat between a mid +5 engager or a low knockdown without guaranteed follow up into insane damage. Again, she has super strong stuff. The only thing I think is that she lacks, she's a little bit weird on the terms of tracking. And her approach is a little bit slow sometimes, so you can interrupt most of her stuff like down for 3 and so on if you have a good read. So again, don't get me wrong, very strong character. She has some of the best sets of punishment there are out there. She has very good low pokes. She has very good pokes. Her down for 1 is a little bit meh. Not gonna lie. She has super good movement, probably the best movement in the game right now. One of the best movements in the game. So again, she has some strengths, but also some weaknesses that make her super strong, but not like OP like the other characters I think are above them. Because these characters above I think are with no flaws. Like if we pick one of those characters up there, I don't think they have any flaws in the game. Or if they have some flaws, they are so predominant in other areas that their flaws are completely overshadowed. For example, King has some flaws, theoretically. For example, his lows are not the best, but he has such a great heat tool, for example, or such a great use of course throws, and all of his arsenal is super scary right now. That makes it less impactful instead of a Lili, for example, that has very good hit, but not as good as, for example, I don't know, King again. And Lili has some new bullshit that I think needs to be nerfed down, by the way. For example, her back turn hit smash is no sense. Her back turn hit smash needs to be nerfed. For example, it has to be at least minus 14 or with less pushback. Right now, it's basically I'm almost safe low hit smash. It's minus 13, so you can punish with a mid punish if you have one, but sometimes it's inconsistent because the pushback is too much. So I think she needs some nerfs, definitely. Also, I think Lidia is between A and B. I honestly think she's a little bit underrated. So if it was for me, I would put her even higher. But like I would put her between B and A. But I don't want to make too many tier lists. But let's say like she's the upper B, in my opinion. Like I think she's very underrated right now. Like she has she has some weaknesses. She has a tracking issue, definitely to the right. Her stance is not super threatening and so on. A lot of her stuff is punishable, launch punishable. But again, she has a super broken hit. I don't understand why people downplay her so much. I think she's actually far better than people think. Because again, she has some flaws. She has some huge flaws. But her hit is nice. Her hit is super nice. She has a set of continuous guessing that you have to guess. Okay, you can fuzzy and everything you want, but Lidia can change timings every time. Lidia can disrupt your fuzzy attempts like nothing, because she can delay a lot of her stances. Like also, for example, all of her punishable stuff becomes semi-unpunishable when she goes into it. So again, her hit is super stupid. Also, the damage she deals when in it is insane. Like, don't get me wrong, she has she doesn't have the best lows. She has a little bit of problems with clean hits on her lows. Her tracking is not super good. Again, I get that, but in the good hands, she can become a mashing machine by far. Like I think online especially, it's a nightmare to fight Lidia, and I think underrated in my opinion. Azucena and Raven are also, I don't think they are super weak. Again, don't get me wrong, these characters that are put in B tier are not weak by far. They just lack some stuff that the characters above have, in my opinion. For example, Azucena, like I think it's a character that I think it's the most balanced character in the game. And I'm sorry to say this because I hate fighting against Evo's Azucena. I don't understand shit of the matchup, but I understand that, apart from I think 4-1+2 Power Crush Engager, and now it's gonna be removed. And I think that's toxic. Together with Asuka, I think that Power Crush needs to go because it's so OP. The rest of the character is kind of balanced. I think she's the most balanced character in the game. I think she's the when people ask me about Azucena, I always say that she's the perfect mid tier in this game. Like she's completely in the middle between the broken ones and the bullshit ones. She has some bullshit, but she's also honest on other areas. She's punishable, but not too much. She's cringe, but not too much. She has not the best hit, but she can have nice poking. She can have nice nice punishment tools. She has a power crush engager. So she's a mixture of broken stuff, of stupid stuff, but also honest stuff. So I think that's why, I always cannot say an opinion on Azucena, because honestly, in my opinion, she could be even higher than this. But there's some stuff that limits her, and the rest of the characters up there don't lack. I think with some small buffs she can become even better. But again, I don't expect, I don't want them to be buffed too much, because honestly, I don't think any character in this game deserves buffs. Like for example, I will only nerf the characters that are in A and S. Honestly, the rest of the characters can be the way they are. Honestly, I don't think they deserve any adjustment. Same applies for Raven. Raven is a very controversial character. I always say that the character is strong, but no one believes me. Again, I'm not putting him in B because I think the character is weak. On the contrary, I think the character is can be very strong in the good hands. But again, as Azucena is a character that has some bullshit, but also some honest things. For example, he takes risks to apply his 50/50s, but he has also good stuff. Like, for example, his heat, I think, is very good. Ravens is about making 14 frame made the strings homing war splat, for example, and they are very stupid in my opinion. Also now he is one of the few characters that can launch 15 frames and 14 frames standing. That's very good for the character, and he can also launch 14 frames standing in it. His engagers are not super bad, for example. But again, he lacks some tracking. His pressure probably is a little bit, not the best. But again, he has a lot of tricks in his sleeve. So again, a nice character with some flaws and some bullshit stuff. That's why I think he can be like, he doesn't need any adjustment, because I think characters in this game should have weaknesses and strengths. Most of the characters in S and A don't have any weaknesses. That's the problem. The problem is it's not about Lidia, Raven, or Azucena. The problem is about the characters up there that are too much. We don't need more buffs. We need only more nerfs. That's the main thing of my thought, of my takes. Like, we don't need to buff anyone in this game. We only need to nerf the very problematic ones, in my opinion. Zafina also, I think, deserves this spot. Like, I don't think she's a top tier contender right now. We see, for example, for the same stuff as Raven and Azucena, she's a character with a lot of strengths. She's very bullshit, a very matchup dependent character, but she also has a lot of weakness. For example, her lows are trash. Her lows are complete trash in my opinion. She has the worst, probably one of the worst lows in low game in the game. Probably she doesn't have she even doesn't have back 1+2 anymore. Her lows are complete trash. But for example, her movement is kind of nice. She doesn't have a 15 frame launcher, and again, her combo damage is not super high. But she's now, it's a character that has a lot of bullshit too. Again, that's the main trope with B tiers. Characters that have bullshit, but also honest things. That's why they don't compete with the upper tiers, because the upper tiers have only bullshit. That's the same thing with Zafina, in my opinion. So again, I don't expect her to have very major buffs. I expect her to become the same. Even now, though, we know she has an install, so we have to know how it plays out. Let's see. Maybe it gives her more personality with the orb stuff. I hope they don't make her broken, honestly, because that would be a mess. A broken Zafina would be a mess, because she's very annoying to deal with right now already. So imagine in the future. Let's see the rest of the Lee. Sorry for not talking about Lee before, but I think he's actually very good. I don't think the character has many flaws as many people think. The only thing that I think he lacks is a good heat. His heat is basically non-existent. Apart from 443, his heat is complete dog shit, because good Lee players can always do just frames, no matter heat or not. So basically, he only gains more heat when he does his just frames, but he doesn't have anything more special than that. Like, apart from these just frames, he doesn't have anything more. So again, it's only a mechanic in which you basically, when you have a good Lee player, when basically you make it last longer, but apart from that, you don't have anything more special than that. Like, you don't have, maybe it's more, comfortable to play Lee in it, but it doesn't have anything that makes you fear Lee in it more. It just becomes a little bit easier to play, that's all. And a good Lee player doesn't need this. A good Lee player is already, used to play Lee in a certain way with the just frame times and so on. He doesn't need a help from hit, So apart from his hit, that I think is non-existent, the rest of his toolkit I think is very good. Lee is a very good character. Yes, a great low pokes. 443 is super busted right now. Back 3 annoying low. He has some of the most insane combo damage ever, and also a very nice wall carry, as everybody knows. And yes, again, one of the most broken wall combos probably in the game, with one of the most insane Okies in the game. I don't know, his poking is kind of nice. He has a lot of evasion in some of his moves. Like, for example, he's down for 1 very evasive, 444 very evasive. So again, I think he's a very good character. If he had a good hit, he probably would be top S tier. Probably, if he had a good hit, he would be S tier. That's the only thing that limits his potential, in my opinion. But I think overall, again, overall, I think it's very good. It's very good. Um, okay, and then we have I think let's see. Well, Leo, I think also BT. I don't think she is like with Leo is a different. It's a difficult discourse to make because not gonna lie, her toolkit is kind of nice. Her toolkit of moves is kind of nice. Like she has a very good evasion. I don't know. Her combos are kind of nice. But they're kind of it's kind of if you want to make if you want to do the complicated combos, they are kind of difficult to make. You need some execution with Leo. I think if you want to do the most important combos. Also, she has very good set of loads. And like for example, down 4 2+3, crazy. But again, I think probably one of the worst sets of engagers in the game, probably because all of I'm sorry if I'm calling her, but I think she's a female just because Arada multiple times has called her Eleanor. So I know it makes her ambiguous still, but I'm gonna refer to Leo as her because again, Arada said that she's Eleanor, but again, it's the only thing we know about the character. So sorry if maybe I'm not correct, but the debate about Leo is still going on. I think she's Eleanor Cleason. So I'm gonna tell her as a she. Again, we don't know for sure though. We don't know. By the way, I think she has probably one of the worst sets of engagers in the game. Like they are nice, don't get me wrong, but they're basically all punishers or like engagers that you need to, she doesn't have like most of the characters are free engager that you can throw out whenever you want in order to get into hit. Basically, she doesn't have a free engager to throw and get into it. You need to be good with her in order to go into it, basically, because all of her engagers are basically punishers. She has one power crush from stance that's basically never used. And again, down back to 4. Kind of confirmable, I get it, but it's not very easy to use all the time, to confirm all the time, even though the confirm is kind of big. Also, I don't know. What else? For example, back to 1+2. Also, all punishers while sending for 1+2 punish. Again, they are all punishers. So again, don't get me wrong, very good engagers, but not like free engagers to throw out. And also, her hit is kind of nah. Not gonna lie, her hit is not super interesting. She basically has more of her power-ups multiple times, but her power-ups don't have a lot of gameplay, honestly. She has a 14 frame string with 4-2. That's kind of interesting, but not super good. And also her health sweep becomes a little bit more threatening, but that's all. Honestly, nothing too substantial. So again, the character is very good in their fundamentals. I think she also lacks some tracking, by the way, Leo. Also some tracking issues right now. She doesn't track very much to the right. But she has a very good set of mids, for example. She's very safe as a character. She has a lot of great strings. But again, a lot of the stuff I just mentioned keep her from being top tier material. Because again, her read is super meh, and her engagers are super meh, nothing too dramatic. I'm gonna have a one controversial opinion, but just because, honestly, hear me out. I think Panda is not that weak. I think Panda is actually A tier, because if you think about it, guys, Panda and Kuma have the same broken set of moves. Apart from hit, they all do the same broken stuff. The broken wall combo, broken forward back 2, back 1 is very cheesy. They have their set of tools is almost the same. The cheap damage is the same. Panda also has back 1+2. Again, all of the tools that Kuma has are the same as Panda. They have the same toolset. The only thing that makes them different is that Kuma has also broken hit. Panda has not the same good hit, because, for example, her hit smash is worse than Kuma. Her up 4 3+4 is kind of trash, not very good, not very threatening. But guys, apart from that, honestly, the character is still good. The character is still super good, and I don't think why people say that she's stupid. She doesn't work. It's basically Kuma. It's basically Kuma with worse hit. So Kuma is broken even without hit. Like the Bears have very broken stuff right now, generally, not regarding hit. Okay, like their cheap damage and so on. So why would Panda be low tier? Why? What's the difference? They have the same broken tools. Again, the only difference is that, you know, again, Panda only has bad hit, but worse hit than Kuma. But that doesn't make her weak. Absolutely no. So I think Panda is very good, actually. Very good. Okay. Reina, guys, I actually don't know. You're not gonna lie. Reina is the only last card that I don't have really an opinion, because I don't match with Reina much, and I don't play Reina much. But I honestly think she's good. I don't think she's a top tier material right now, because she has been nerfed on a lot of her stuff. For example, her tracking on 442, just to make an example. But she also has some bullshit. So again, I think she is one of the upper Bs, in my opinion. Even A tier probably, but like between A and B. Suppose I put her between A and B, like N A starting B, like something like this, you know. But I think she's actually good. She has very good set of punishment tools. One of the best punishment tools in the game. She Sentai can be kind of scary. You know, 442 is still a crazy move. Her hit is kind of interesting with the 3+4, 4, for example, or hit smash is kind of long range. The hit smash, even though a little bit slow. She has some weaknesses in some areas. Again, tracking issues, or like her lows are not very good. But she compensates with some bullshit too. So again, one of those characters in which you have some bullshit, but also some other honest things. So again, I think also she has an electric, you know, that makes Mishima already very, very interesting to play. You know, she's a waifu, but with Mishima things. They makes her interesting to play, and I think she's actually in a pair of good hands. She can actually become very good, but she needs a little bit of work. Like not like other cards that are completely free. She needs a little bit of work in order to perform well, but that doesn't make her super weak, in my opinion. But again, she obviously is not super strong like other cards. She's also been nerfed kind of a lot in the recent patches, so that's why I probably think she's not as performative as she was before. So I think she's a upper B or lower A material probably. And then we have the last tier, so I'm gonna remove C tier, lead row. Okay, Leroy I think is you know, not weak. Again, I think Leroy is gonna be the last card in this tier list, in this B tier. I think Leroy is a card that most people underrate. He has some of the one of the most broken wall combos in one of the most broken wall damages in the game, with the 1+2 string into hit dash into 1+2 string again. Very good set of combos overall. For example, he has been buffed a lot, and he has some interesting tools to use right now. For example, he has a wall splatting parry now, or like his step 1+2, super cheesy. He has insane cheap damage, Leroy. He has insane cheap damage. Down back 3 is super stupid. So I think he has some very, very good stuff right now. I think it's a little bit underrated, but I don't think it's like top tier, of course. No, of course no, because, for example, his down for 1 is trash. His poking is kind of mediocre right now. His down for 1 is probably one of the worst in the game. Probably second to Devil Jin, because his down for 1 is basically shit range. The strings after down for 1 are not super threatening. Again, he can be decent in the good hands, but you need some work with Leroy. He has some bullshit. Again, he was one of the last cards. He has some bullshit, some crazy cheap damage. The cane is kind of annoying, you know, but he also lacks other stuff. So I think again, the characters in B need to stay the way they are, in my opinion. They need to nerf some of the things in A characters. They need to nuke S characters. That's my opinion. Like, if you ask me, they need to nuke S characters. They need to nerf some things of the A characters. The B characters need to stay the way they are. And then we have the last tier in which they are basically only Eddy and Devil Jin. I think these two are the worst characters in the game. My personal take again. But okay, Devil Jin is universally known to be one of the worst characters in the game, because basically he has some bullshit again, but he doesn't compensate with a lot of good stuff in his other neutral tools. So he might get a slight buff, don't get me wrong. like the only real bullshit he has is down back 1+2. Down back 1+2 is super cheesy, super stupid, one of the most stupid moves in the game. But apart from that, the character kind of suffers right now in competitive gameplay, especially. So everybody knows that. I'm not gonna dig much more into it. Basically, everybody knows. I think the worst card in the game is Eddy, in my opinion. This might be a little bit controversial, but I think basically the character does whatever, everything that the other characters do in the upper tier list, but with all the risk behind it. Like, he's a character based around 50-50s, but every character in the game is based around 50-50s nowadays. But most of the characters in the game with their 50-50s don't risk much. Don't risk as much shit as Eddy does when he does his 50-50s. So again, very annoying. He has some bullshit as all the characters. He has some, things that need to be a little bit maybe reworked. He's not a very interesting character to play, neither to fight. But, he's not super scary, again, because most of the characters in the game does what he does, with no risk. Or with less risk than Eddy, basically. Again, he has some bullshit, but it's very matchup dependent. Like, once you know the matchup, I think the character struggles kind of a bit. Especially in competitive gameplay, and again, I think overall his design is not very good in this game. So I think he definitely deserves a rework, in my opinion. I would like him to be reworked and to become a more interesting character by far. Like, I think honestly he's the worst character in the game, in my opinion. It's just there is no need to play Eddy when there are characters that do what he does, but with no risk. Again, Eddy basically most of the time setup is mix up between Hell Sweep and a launching -18 mid, for example, and that's okay, interesting, but it makes him unique because he's the only one of the few characters that still risks something when he uses these mix-ups. But in terms of competitive gameplay, what does he add to the game? Nothing, because there are characters that do what he, like for example, Xiaoyu does his same thing between Hell Sweep and launching mid. But Xiaoyu's one is -13 homing knockdown into Goki or a +5 mid into launcher. Like, you see what I mean? There's a little bit of a it's far more easier in using Xiaoyu's mix up instead of Eddy, that you die either way if you mess up. So also his poking is not super good. He has some bullshit like the power crush engager, but that's gonna be removed now, so we'll see what the engager he gets now. I don't know. Overall, I think the card is kind of a bit of underwhelming, and he could receive some small buffs together with level Jin. I think these two are the only cards that could deserve some small buffs. Small buffs. Don't make them broken, of course, because that would be. Imagine a broken Eddy. That would be the end of the game, basically. So I think, again, S and A characters need some nerfs. B characters can stay the way they are, in my opinion, and C characters can get a little buff. Ma little, not like, I don't know, Amaron, no, don't overbuff characters, please, Namco. Here are our prayers. Let me know what you think of this tier list, guys. I had a lot of fun making this. And let me know the next video you wanna see about which topic you want me to talk in the next Tekken video. Make sure to subscribe if you like this tier list, and let me know what you think in the comments. See you guys very soon again. Bye!